I recently just turned 21. My stepsister, who I'll call Marie for this, is 26. My mom married her dad when I was 7, but he is my dad. Another side note, Marie is the golden middle child. All she had to do was tell our dad she didn't want to do something, whether it was her chores for the day or something she was asked, and he would pass it to me or our oldest sister. She could never do wrong, and she was extremely babied and spoiled by our father. Also, I worked 3 or 4 jobs sometimes as a teenager to help make ends meet, as we weren't well off or even decently made growing up. Now for the story. I moved out of my family's place almost a year ago with my boyfriend of a year at the time. Since then I have gotten a job at a warehouse where me and my boyfriend both make about $75K a year. We have been saving up for a new car and possibly a new place here in the future. While I have been doing this, Marie lost our place I lived in with her because she illegally moved the oldest sister and her kids in without properly doing it with the landlord. Has been living out of a property a church in their town owns and refuses to get a job because, and I quote, "God will take care of me." She has never been religious and used to laugh at people who were, but now suddenly is all about God and church, like she's made it her whole personality. Now this is where the problem starts. I got a text a few days ago from Marie asking if she could borrow some money, which has been a common thing since she found out I make decent money. She doesn't know exactly how much, but she knows it's decent. I asked her what for because I know she has a tendency to ask for more than she needs. She said, "I want to buy some Mike's Hard in the cans, they're only $5 right now." To which I responded with 3 laughing emojis and then said no. She got upset and asked why, and I said, "Because I'm not sending you money to go get drunk. If I'm sending you money, it's because you actually need it for something important, not to get drunk." This set her off more. She went on and on for paragraphs about how I'm inconsiderate of her situation and I'm her sister, so I should help her out. She also put in those paragraphs how 35 or 40 bucks is nothing to me. And not going to lie, I got mad at that because in the 26 years of her life she's never had to work for anything. But I was often working 3, sometimes 4 jobs and going to school to make ends meet in our household. So the fact she expecting me to send her $40 and then claim it's nothing to me. At first I was going to ignore her because I know how I get when I get angry and I can be pretty hurtful and rude. But she kept texting me and then she sent me a text that said, "I can't believe you won't help me out at all. You never did. All you did was go out and do God knows what, and I'm so fucking sick of your bratty child ass behavior." This set me off. I texted her back and I went off saying this, "You know what, Mom and Dad didn't want me to tell you this cause they thought you'd think less of them, but it was me who bought your shampoo, conditioner, razors, body wash, etc. I'm the reason we suddenly had groceries in the fridge when it was barn just hours before. I'm the reason the car got fixed so many times. And you want to know how? Because I was working 3, sometimes 4 to keep our house running, all while going to school and keep up with all my high school sports too. I did softball, volleyball during the first semester of the year and tennis, and track the second semester of the year. So yeah, I was always gone or sleeping because I was exhausted every day for years. Also, I'm not sending you the money because God doesn't condone drinking. My boyfriend says I'm not wrong for going off because she needed a wake-up call. My older sister agrees she needed to hear it but thinks I could have gone a better way about it. But our other family, some aunts, uncles and cousins she's told, think I was too harsh and could have just sent her 10 instead of 40. Update 1. We had a meeting this afternoon with a realtor and we think we've found a gorgeous house with everything we've wanted in a house. And a gorgeous yard for when we start expanding our family. Anyways, I texted my aunts, uncles, and cousins and told them if they want to support her being a deadbeat who mooches off everyone else, that's on them. But I am done being treated like the family cash cow, and just because I did it as a teenager doesn't mean I want to do it as an adult with her own life and responsibilities. Most of them backed down and apologized for being so rude and pushy. My one aunt fired back with, "Oh yeah, responsibilities like what? Bills? We have 2 cats, a bearded dragon, bills, car payments, car insurance, we all do, and you and your BF are well off, so it's not much to you guys." Another cousin and a few uncles agreed with her and they as the group decided to try and blow me up until I gave in. What they didn't expect is my boyfriend to take the phone and continue for me. One thing about my boyfriend is he doesn't play about me in even a fraction of the slightest. So when he saw that I was getting blown up and getting more and more aggravated, upset and just plain pissed off, he had enough. He took my phone and created a group chat with all the family members still causing issues and sent the following message: "Okay, hi, her boyfriend here because she is so upset, distraught and hurt. And that's something I don't tolerate, so enough is enough. You guys didn't have to do a fraction of what she has had to make sure that she and her family survived." Which, by the way, where were you guys when they needed food, or hygiene products, or just any basic need? Oh right, you didn't help. She did something she shouldn't have had to do but did because she wanted to help her family survive. She was working 3, sometimes 4 jobs while going to school and doing 4 sports throughout the school year. She spent the prime of her teenage years being a second-hand parent and adult. And do you think she got to see any of that money from those jobs? No, she used those checks to pay for the shit they needed. She is a grown adult now making her own money, and if she doesn't want to give away the money she works hard for to further spoil the human equivalent of a participation trophy, she doesn't have to. And she sure as hell doesn't have to, or will be explaining to anyone the reason she said no. They didn't respond before my boyfriend blocked them on my phone and saying, "You can unblock them if you'd like, but I really rather you don't. They cause you too much pain and I hate seeing you so upset like this." I agreed it was best to go no contact with the small group of family members who didn't back off and apologize, as well as Marie. My mom was made aware and she was not happy in the slightest and said she respects my decision and won't speak about the family members I've gone NC with. Update 2. I blocked those aunts, uncles and cousins who wouldn't get off my case and my sister Marie and went NC like the earlier update said, but unfortunately it didn't last long. Marie showed up at my place while my boyfriend was gone. I was outside doing some yard work for the last time before we moved, so I didn't let her inside, mostly because I wasn't sure what she wanted, but I also wasn't trying to let her inside mostly my place as I didn't want her around me, let alone in my place, and her wreck it if she got mad because we'd have to pay for it. I asked what she wanted and she said, "Why are you making this such a big deal?" I asked for $35 to $40. It's not much to you. God, you make that in like what, 2 or 3 hours at your job? And you blow up and block me and the family members trying to get you to see reason. I looked at her and said, "This is your problem, Marie. Dad spoiled you so much you don't even know what the real world is. God, you're so self-involved it's suffocating because you just have to suck the air out of every room you walk into. You think that 2 or 3 hours isn't a lot? Well, you're right. One thing that's not a long time, however, it's a lot of work in just 1 hour, and I work 10 hours a day and work overtime. I have bills and responsibilities, something you don't know anything about. I have a life and things I want to do with it. And being a personal ATM for you is not on my bucket list. I've done my fair share for you." Marie responded with a scoff and said, "You're selfish and you are heartless for turning your cheek when your sister needs help." Then it was my turn to scoff and then I said, "Help? Yeah, maybe some fucking AA meetings and a rehab. But you wanting to get drunk so you can forget that you're 26, unemployed, live in a property your church owns, going nowhere in life, just stuck in the same life, is not needing help at you being a lazy person who thinks a higher power is going to fix everything if you just pray hard enough." My sister got mad and lunged at me. At first I wasn't trying to hit her back, mostly cause I wasn't trying to fight her, but also because I know she can't fight and I know how to fight. My mom made me take boxing lessons so I could defend myself if I ever was in a situation a lot of females find themselves in. Instead, at first I was trying to get her off of me, but she landed a punch to my jaw and I fought back. My boyfriend pulled in about 5 minutes after the fight started and immediately dragged my sister off me. He checked on me first, making sure I was okay. I had a busted lip and some minor scrapes and bumps. My sister was bleeding from her nose, mouth, and she had some bruises already forming. The cops were called by a neighbor who saw the fight. Luckily the cameras at our place that were facing the outside where we were caught everything, even the part of me trying to get her off me without hurting her. The cops determined I acted in self-defense because I didn't hit her until she hit me in the jaw, after she had already me 3 times before she hit me in the jaw. The real decision came when the cop turned to me and asked if I wanted to press charges on Marie. I looked at my boyfriend and then to the cop, then to my sister. I knew she needed to finally face consequences to her action, but at the same time she was my sister at one point. I cared about her like she was my sister, and everything I had done as a teenager for her came rushing back. All of it I did for her because I wanted us to be okay. My boyfriend could tell I was conflicted and pulled me aside and asked me what was holding me back. I told him I knew she needed to face her consequences, but it was hard to say yeah, charge my sister and put her in jail. My boyfriend said he knows that she's my sister, but what she did was wrong and she needs to face it. We went back and forth with me overthinking and him calming me down. Once I did calm down, I went back to the cop and looked at him with a straight face and say, "I want to press charges. It's about time she learned her actions have consequences." The cop said it likely was not going to be a long sentence if any jail time is even given, but she will at least get probation for a few years and a ton of community service hours. But it wasn't about the jail time for me, it was about finally making my sister pay for something she did. She did spend 2 weeks in jail waiting for her court hearing and then got probation and community hours like the police officer had said. None of the family members that were asking me to give her the money anyway have gotten hold of me, as they can't, and I don't care if they're mad. Like I mentioned earlier, my boyfriend and I did get the house we spoke with the realtor about, and we have moved in and started settling in. We love this house. It's exactly what we wanted and we are so happy. We have decided to wait for a bit on expanding the family to just enjoy our new home together for a bit, which I honestly didn't mind at all. We have spent a lot of time buying furniture for our backyard, decorating our house and making it ours, added 2 sibling Pitsky puppies, Calypso and Rocky, to the family, who also love our fenced-in backyard and cuddling in our laps or chasing our friends around the bonfire in the backyard. I no longer feel the heavy weight of Marie and all the drama anymore, and best of all, my sister and NC family members don't know about this new place. Oop, they are so adorable. Our cats get along with them well too, which was a worry of ours. Finally feeling like I got my life back on track. Now on to second story. Sister's boyfriend kidnapped my child during a breakup fight, putting their lives in danger, as I helplessly dealt with anger and relief. My sister's boyfriend was caught and arrested and is currently in jail with a bond his family can't afford. I'd where to start, but I guess I'll start by I'm traumatized. As a parent, the second worst thing that could happen, happened. First being death. I didn't know where he was for 6 minutes, but it feels like it was 30. And I feel like I was the last person contacted to know what was going on. I'm angry. I'm angry at my sister's BF, I'm angry at my sister, and I'm angry at myself. I know I shouldn't be, but I am. To make a long story short, my sister was supposed to watch my son a couple nights ago. She said she wouldn't be off work in time, but that he could watch him for 30 minutes an hour before she got off. I thought it would be okay since it wasn't a long period of time. I was so wrong. I got a bad gut feeling when I pulled in to drop him off. I ignored it. I chalked it up to being anxiety, and I was just being selfish and wanted a fun night out. I get a call around 45 minutes after dropping him off. Sister's BF, just came to, sister's workplace, B/T her up, crashed her car, and took off with, my child, in said crashed car. I'm sorry, my name. I called back and she told me that they found him but I couldn't see him yet and I was instantly thinking he was dead. That was the worst 6 minutes of my life. Basically, my sister tried to break up with him that morning, but in his eyes she's not allowed to break up with him and that's what started all of this. I guess he was using their dog as a hostage at first and so my sister got our other sister to get her dog out of that situation. She said she was going to tell me not to drop off my child but that he was acting fine and had calmed down so she didn't. But I really wish she did, and I'm mad she didn't. I would have never dropped him off. He pulled up to her workplace, told her if she didn't come out he would harm my child, speeds off into an alleyway by her work and strangles her. Told her, do you really want to break up with me? I just want you to know if you break up with me and, my child, are gonna go on a ride. She says no and he calls her a liar and crashes into her job sign, totaling her car. Then tells her if she tries to run or scream for help he'll kill, my child. Hit her again, more arguing, starts to speed off to try and kidnap her and she jumps out of the car and runs screaming into her job. Police found my child alone in their apartment with the door locked. He dropped him off and took off on foot. He turned himself in after hiding for about an hour. Crying and admitting everything SMH. My child is fine, didn't know what was going on, thought they were playing. But I am not okay. My sister isn't okay. She's been left with a large financial burden as they live together, and is out of a car. And she is traumatized. I feel so bad for feeling angry with her. I know I wouldn't know what to do in that situation as I've never been in it and she was in fight or flight, but I am angry. Irrational or not, I'm angry she didn't let me know they were having problems. I'm angry she jumped out of the car screaming after he said he'd kill my child. I'm angry I wasn't told immediately. But I also feel bad. I've always been my sister's protector, and I wasn't even worried about her when this was going on. I was only worried about my child. I feel more angry that my child was involved than about what happened to her and that's terrible. Why I feel this way and what to do with it. What to do from here. I want to make a post exposing him, maybe set up a /him for her but I know she doesn't want that. I want to press personal charges /sue him but I don't think she wants that either. I just don't know what to do or what to do with my feelings. My family doesn't even want to talk about it. There's so much more I could say, but at the end of the day, I am so thankful that my child is okay. I prayed so hard. I'm thankful my sister is physically okay with only mild bruising. And I'm thankful he's in jail, just hoping for a strong sentence. Edit, I feel like there is some confusion. The dog hostage situation happened around 1 or 2 p.m., I think, and I dropped my son off at 7:45 p.m. Not to say, it wasn't bad judgment, but there was a good chunk of time in between the instances. However, I do not wish to condemn my sister or press charges on her. That wasn't the point of this post. She was just as surprised by this as I was. She was not covering for her abusive boyfriend. She had a bad lapse in judgment. She immediately ran into her job screaming to call the police, and helped get him in jail. I definitely will be more cautious though moving forward, but please refrain from the super harsh comments about my sister. She didn't intend for this to happen. Y'all have helped me feel justified in my anger though and I really appreciate that. And maybe it's because she's my sister and she doesn't have a bad bone in her body, but you are right. Her dog is her baby, she definitely cares more about him than her nephew and if it was him in the car, I don't think she would have jumped out. But I'll just have to sit with this for a while. I forgot to mention but he took a Xanax I'm assuming right after I left, so he was under the influence as well. Doesn't have a license, and also he was planning to do this the whole time. I think that's the most chilling thing of all. He looked me in my eyes and said, your child has a safe place to stay tonight before I left. And he just seemed so calm and normal. I never expected this to happen. Update 1. Happened back in May, he ended up only getting 6 years probation. Right before my sister was to testify they came and told her he took a plea deal. She was off the case and couldn't get any updates after that as it was no L on Gare H or Ka say his mom ended up sending me a very hateful and abuse enabling, victim blaming ass message on October 8th. He died November 22nd. Either an overdose or suicide or both? Not completely sure. Not much of an update. Don't really know how to feel. I'm glad he can't hurt anybody else, but sad he didn't get a just full sentence and got the easy way out. It's been a weird month. Edit, I realized I left some things out. He ended up posting bail after, I guess his family did indeed have money. About 2 weeks after all of this happened, my sister left work and found him asleep in her car. She got a coworker to take her home and the next morning he showed up at her home and she called the police. He was arrested, without bail this time. He ended up getting a nice lawyer, and the rest is history. Me and my sister have not been on speaking terms since June, besides occasionally on Sundays when we meet with the family we'd exchange a few words. After his death, we have since unblocked each other and have been in low contact. Hopefully we can move forward and work on our relationship. Commenter, this is a huge update. One less woman beating, child abducting psycho in this world. Oop, Honestly, my first reaction to the news was may he rot, and I still feel that way, but I just still wish the judge felt the same, if that makes sense. Commenter: it does make sense. He get let off light with a plea deal and got to continue to be a threat to your sister. That's not right. I really hate it when judges let men like this off light, as if they're suddenly going to become a normal human being and leave their victims alone. Once they escalate, they never de-escalate. Oop, yes, she left court and moved out of her apartment that same day. They had lived together. He financially and mentally ruined her. And his ex texted my sister after. He messaged her through the jail app and tried to lie and say some BS, and showed her SS and pics of how he acted and the bruises he left on her. She wasn't the first girl he had done that to. I'm glad my sister was the last though. I hope at least. Commenter: I'm not really sure I would call death the easy way out, as it is the ultimate final punishment. Hopefully, he suffered as he was dying? But really, screw him. How are you doing? How is your son handling all this? Oop, my son is pretty young, and doesn't fully understand the concept of what happened and death and all that. But I mean, with me, like I said, just been a weird month. The week it happened, I had finally completely cut off my son's deadbeat dad. I had just lost my job, got some bad news, and found out he died all within the same week, so it was a lot. I do think it was a good outcome given he was only given probation and not jail time and could do it to another girl/family. Me and my sister have been on bad terms since, and we just reconnected after he died, and can hopefully work on our relationship. I think it may finally be time to get into therapy though. Commenter: why were you and your sister in bad terms from this? This doesn't really sound like her fault, is why I'm wondering. If you don't mind sharing, of course. I can't imagine what you're feeling. I'm sorry, this must feel terrible. All of it. Oop, just the stuff that happened, her not telling me she was trying to break up him that day, and that he was holding their dog hostage just hours prior to the situation. I was gonna have my parents watch him, but then she offered and she rarely watched him, so I thought it'd be good for them to bond, just for all of that to happen. I was willing to work through it, but then during the case, she wasn't telling me any information on it even though I was constantly asking, and just seemed to not want to be bothered by it, drinking a lot and trying to move on. I get it, but she made it all about her pain and acted like I wasn't also traumatized, and it just frustrated and bothered me. That coupled with a past issue that got brought up just sent it into full-blown no contact. Commenter: the mom send you a hateful message? Why you and not the sister? This makes no sense. You didn't date him. Oop, oh believe me, she sent my sister one too. I posted about the situation on Facebook back when it happened, and I guess she didn't see it until she had messaged me. But she was basically like land a reeing my s on mg ona see all the cops if yud on our move it and a whole bunch of victim blaming shit. She said my sister spitting in his face, in retaliation to him trying to our / her BTW was abuse. And he beat her for it afterwards, but yet she didn't mention that part, or rather he lied about that.